Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
On YouTube also?
యూట్యూబ్ లో కూడా ఆన్ అయింది సార్.
Okay, fine. So let us start this session, right? Good morning, friends. After a gap of after a gap of for 5 days, we are meeting again, almost a week or so. So today again is another session on B2B markets, per Seth model of industrial buying. We have talked about industrial buying versus consumer buying, and industrial consumer buying is a relatively complicated exercise. Complicated in the sense complex, not complicated, but it is complex when compared to that of consumer buying, because consumer buying is only with reference to the consumer or his family in the process of influencing buying decisions. But in case of industrial consumer buying, we know that there are a lot of people who are supposed to look into that, and acceptance and decision makers are very many. So along with that, we were talking about industrial buying and other models, and this is a SAFE model. Now, industrial buying refers to the process where businesses purchase goods, services for production, resale, or daily operations. We have already seen this. A quick recap of what we have discussed. That's why, for a quick sum up, we are talking about this, because the industrial buying may be raw material or certain other products they use for production again. They use for resale again. In case of Walmart or whatever it is, they procure from some outside, and again they sell it in their stores, or for daily operations, they buy a lot of things and do some processing, and again they sell it. So the key characteristics here are: in case of consumer buying, it is a primary demand, but in case of industrial buying, we have said it is influenced by consumer demand. That's why it is called derived demand. And we have just now said it is a complex decision making other than that of consumer buying. And it involves multiple decision makers, because there are a lot of people who are supposed to approve the contract. So it's not simply as that of consumer buying is only in case of consumer buying, consumer durable or consumer normal consumer goods buying is only consumer, or at the best his family members influencing decisions. So if you look at the example, we have already talked about it. Tata Motors purchased steel, rubber, electric components, tires, etc., for car manufacturing. Please note all these are industrial buying scenarios. They buy steel from outside, they buy rubber, tires, or whatever, some electronic components for which they make a car. So that's the buying industrial buying example. What is the SAFE model of industrial buying here? How the entire thing works as per SAFE model? It developed by Jagdish Sheth in 1973. The purpose is to explain the complex decision making process in industrial buying. We have already talked about it earlier, how complex it is when you talk about industrial buying processes and steps involved. The key aspects of this particular model is: first one is how organizations evaluate and purchase goods, because the evaluation process is to be very very cautious, because they buy product, I mean raw material or whatever products, for another manufacturing process, right? For manufacturing a particular product, and it should be qualitative product to be sold in the market. So the organizations need to evaluate every product they buy from outside, maybe raw material or other components. And there is a role of multiple decision makers. We have seen in the earlier session also. A lot of people are there. It's not simply your purchase department. It's engineers are there, users are there, top management is there, who have to take critical decisions on what you call taking a decision on taking the good from X supplier or Y supplier, Z supplier, etc. And there are a lot of influencing factors, both internal factors and as well as external factors. External factors include supplier situation, market trends, and all that. Internal factors are the internal scenario and whether there's any need for that particular product or not. What are the requirements of different people using this product in the manufacturing process? All these things to be taken note of. Now, as per Seth model, let's examine what are the factors. One is psychological factors. Psychological factors include perceptions, attitudes, and risk taking ability of the decision makers. Because just like a consumer, industrial buyers also will be perceiving things. If this raw material, if you buy, what can be the thing? Or if this rubber we can buy for car manufacturing, what may happen? So they are interested in product knowledge and all that. Based on the reputation of the suppliers, they have a lot of perception in their mind. So they may say, no, XYZ suppliers, let us take ABC suppliers. Like that. They may have perceptions. And they will have some attitudes also. Like, say, for example, they want to go in for environment friendly products. They're tuned to that environment friendliness and all that, sustainability things, right? So they are interested in that. That's what we call an attitude. And their attitude is towards qualitative suppliers, uninterpreted suppliers they can give and all that. So based on certain important attitudes, these are the psychological factors which influence you to take a decision. And risk taking ability also is another important. Decision makers always, top management or purchase department always must be taking sufficient risks. Otherwise it is difficult, because any business decision, of course, subject to risk. If you want for and good quality supplies at reasonable prices, you need to take sufficient risk in the process of selection of suppliers as such. So these are the psychological factors. Second one is situational factors. See, when you're trying to buy an industrial product from the suppliers, there are different things when we talk about your manufacturing cycle. For example, there is an urgency for you to purchase the product. That means your manufacturing cycle should not be stagnant and it should not be stopped. So there's one urgency of purchase is a situational factor. You can't go on for asking X supplier, Y supplier evaluation and all, because no, it's not possible. So you have to go for very quick decision as such. Urgency of purchase. Number two, company policies. For example, company policies may change. Say you have to get supplies from XYZ, not ABC. Maybe ABC may be a defaulter or not a good quality product supplier or whatever it is. So you have changed a company policy of purchases. Your purchase policy may be changing. Maybe we don't know what will be the changes, but changing. So the company policies also determine your purchase options. So this is again a situational factor. And economic conditions. There can be X or Y situations that prevail in economic conditions. Like sometimes there will be oversupply of the product. Sometimes there will be scarcity of the component or whatever you call it. So these are economic conditions. These are all situational factors. Ask you to take decisions on buying a component. Third is environmental factors. Environmental factors also similar to that of situational, but you look at the things happening in and around your business environment. One, it can be government regulations change, business regulations change and all that. Suppose the government may insist that you are supposed to be environment friendly, no damage done to the globe and all that. You have to show all clear policies, ESG, right? That is the sustainability governance and all that. Environment, sustainability, and governance rules change. So what may happen? These are all government regulations change. That's an environmental factor. Next, of course, is supplier reputation. All of a sudden, for example, you have taken X supplier, Y supplier, Z supplier, for example, right? Your regular suppliers are X, Y, Z. Suppose for any reason that Z supplier is crippling, meaning is not adhering to the dates and all that, they're not supplying well. So it depends on the supplier reputation also. And if you evaluate supplier reputation, and the supplier reputation factor is an environmental factor, so you eliminate jet. You say we don't want to get supplies from jet. Take X and Y. This is an environmental factor. Then of course industry trends. Industry trends also influence your buying options, because your manufacturing cycles, your manufacturing processes also undergo change because of the change in the industry. So these when your buying is being influenced by these industry trends or suppliers reputation issues and ESG guidelines and all, then it is called an environmental factor. Then a fourth factor is your own thing. What is the internal story? Organizational factors we call, particular to your organization. It can be company size. Company size maybe it can be downsized or it can be upgraded or whatever it is, and your procurement policies within the given setting, and that may also to be considered at length. What are the procurement policies you have, and what are any internal changes that you have taken? So the internal approval processes, all these things are organizational factors. That means before buying a product from outside, you need to answer your organizational factors. Then, of course, are group factors, meaning that who are actually using this material, who will be procuring the material, because there are so many people in a decision making unit, right? It includes users of the product, it includes influencers who have the market knowledge, who influence you to buy from XYZ ABC product. And there are certain gatekeepers. In this sense, they always look into who are the suppliers and all, what are they doing and all, because especially procurement people from procurement departments and purchase departments are the gatekeepers. They always look at the markets, who are the suppliers, who are supplying what type of quality materials or whatever it is called. So there are group factors. So the factors influencing industrial buying decisions as per Seth model are psychological factors, situational factors, environmental factors, organizational factors, and the group factors. So let us examine again decision making participants in industrial buying. See, in the consumer buying exercise, I have also talked about the participant in consumer buying decision. I will give you one good example. Again, in consumer buying, let's see, then we can come on to industrial buying. In consumer buying, you want to purchase a car. Okay. So, who is the principal decision maker? This becomes a problem. Yeah. Who is the decision maker? Is your father, who is principally the driver, or your brother, or yourself, or your mother, whatever it is, who can drive? So, for example, if your father drives the car, so from the, I mean, you just look at the decision makers here, please note, or influencers, or users, or whatever. The car is driven by father. Practically speaking, he is the user, because he wants to have the what is the mechanism that can assist him to drive the car smoothly, and protection aspect and all that. For you who is a non-driver, but still you're the part of ownership of the car, you want to have the inside story of the car or color of the car. You may be you may give your decision input. Your children may give decision input, grown-up children. See what type of model you want to have. So if you just consider certain important consumer durables, it can be family buying decisions as such. Like for example, refrigerator. When you buy a refrigerator, it's a television for that matter. It can be relatively a family buying decision. You look at the model and all that. So of course, the buyer may be, I mean, who pays the money, from whose money, from whose pocket the money goes, is actually the buyer. But then there are different roles people play here: user, influencer, buyer. Clear? And who go to the market and take the product. All these things counted out. Just the same here in industrial buying. And it happens very systematically. So the decision making partners in industrial buying, like a factory buying a raw material or some other supplies, one are first decision making participants, participant group are initiators. So they actually identify the need for purchase. They now say that this a product, this equipment, or this material need be bought because that's required for manufacturing of a particular product we are manufacturing. So they initiate the process of purchase. Okay, one. Two are the users actually who take the product and put it in the machine, and they know pretty well how the product works and how the product is not working. So they are the users. So the ones who will use the product or service, these people are also very important. You can't take a bad product and ask the user to use this. They may say, no, sorry, it cannot be used straight away because that is not adaptable to the existing structure of the manufacturing processes we have. So second decision maker is user. Third is influencer. Yes, mostly in purchase departments, procurement departments, who provide input or products on product specifications mostly, because it is the engineers group and all that, who will be considering what to buy or what not to buy. They are in charge of technically specifying what type of products we need to buy. So product specifications, etc., they provide. So this type of product you need to buy, not that type of product, etc. So these people, because they're critical in the process, buying process, because they will be influencing the decision of buying. Four people are, we have already said, gatekeepers, because they, in especially in purchase department, you have lot of suppliers walking in and giving their own presentations and all. Procurement department or purchase department, they will be getting lot and lots of information about different types of components, etc., the manufacturer, so the company is using, because suppliers will reach the purchase department only now. That's about. So these gatekeepers will collect a lot of information, and they'll also control the flow of information. They'll be in a position to say X supplier supplies this, Y supplier supplies this, X supplier will give this discount, Y supplier will give this discount. Yes, supplier has got that efficiency and what you call superiority in product quality, etc. So they keep the information with them, and they give this information to the decision makers. And fifth one are deciders. Maybe we have said there are a lot of people involved to tick the manufacturing, purchase decision of this product from the supplier. So most likely the top management or responsible person who is supposed to take a decision. They are called deciders. They make the final purchase decision. And six are people who go to the market and buy. Those who execute the transaction. These are purchase department, and may go to the market physically or get the product physically from the market. So this is how it entire thing goes. Please know that the decision-making participants in industrial buying are good number. One is initiator, two is user, three is influencer, four is gatekeeper, five is decider, and six one is buyer. Ultimately, let's take an example. Take hospital setting. Who is the initiator for equipment? The biomedical engineer, who uses, say for example, an X-ray machine or an MRI machine. Hospital top management is not straight away involved here. So the biomedical engineer who operates this machine is an initiator, who initiates, yes, this product we require, and this is the technology outside, and may propose buying a new MRI machine. Then comes the role of procurement team. Procurement team are the deciders. That means they search for product alternatives, suppliers, X, Y, Z, and which is good and all. Then the finance team, they look at the budgets and all, and then on, okay, I mean, this much costly machine we may not purchase, and this within our budget we can purchase this machine or whatever. Then the finance team becomes a buyer because it decides and tick the finance budget and finalize the purchase, and somebody goes to the market or supplier himself comes and installs the MRI machine in a hospital. So that's how the things go. Now let's examine how the stages in Seth model of industrial buying works. One, two, three, four, five. Just like consumer buying. One is problem recognition. First is business need to identify a need to buy a product. Naturally, because that's why we need to buy from outside. For example, a car manufacturing company wants some equipment. First of all, they should identify the need for buying that equipment, right? So first stage is problem recognition. Second, specification development. So you want a product, but then what type of a product you want, how it fits into your manufacturing thing. Of course, there are suppliers and suppliers supplying different types of relevant product for you or material for you. But we want to have a detailed technical and functional requirements must be set. So this is called specification development. If you just ask for a tire or a something, the seller, the supplier will ask you what dimensions, what type of quality you want. Is it not? So that's the thing. So second is one second stage here is specification development. The company itself has to clearly detail out the technical specifications and the functional requirements for that particular product. So that gives a clear signal and clarity to the supplier to supply. Is it not? That's one. Second. Third is supplier search and evaluation. Suppose you now are clear. Problem has been identified that there is a requirement for a product. And what type of product, etc., we need to get from the market. Specification also is very clear. Next, you search in the market who supplies this one. Right? So now you go for vendors. You collect a lot of information regarding vendors and shortlist them based on your lot of considerations are there. Maybe budget, maybe suppliers superiority, quality, supplies, and whatever you call it. So vendors are shortlisted based on pricing, quality, service, and lots, availability, continuity, all these things. So the third one is evaluate. First of all, search the suppliers, shortlist them, evaluate them, and tick before you tick for it. Fourth one, suppose you are ready to tick a vendor. XYZ is good, ABC are not okay. So like, so supplier search is over, evaluation is done, and you are trying to accept ABC supplier. Fine. Then next one, you now enter into contract with the supplier. How? Fourth step, proposal, solicitation, and negotiation. Now you ask the supplier to give a quotation. So you first of all, because under specification development, you are very clear on what type of product we need to buy, what type of component, what are the specifications you want from the supplier. That's it. In fourth step, before you negotiate, ask the supplier to come with proposal, clear proposal regarding manufacturing cost and terms and conditions, etc., etc. That is called negotiation next. So proposal, solicitation, and negotiation, because they'll be contacting not one supplier, maybe two, three, maybe shortlisted. Even supplier search and evaluation stage also, they may not finalize a single supplier at this given point of time. They may want to have a competitive bid for the supplies. So what happens is they will be asking A, B, C, X, Y, Z, something like that. There are two, three suppliers are shortlisted, and then they'll be asked to submit proposals. Now businesses negotiate contracts and terms and conditions are very clear. After that, after negotiation, if it's a favorable things happening, fifth, supplier selection. Now, final decision is made to pick a supplier, and then okay, the supplier will be supplying it, and you'll be continuously receiving the supplies based on your requirement and all. The sixth step is performance review, because of post purchase, of course there are chances of good going experience, or I mean bad experience as such. So now you will be evaluating suppliers post purchase. Is the product okay? Is the supplies are regular or not? Is the price competitive? Everything after post purchase only you come to know of it. So that is a performance review. Suppose if it is fine, then it's a repeat buying. Suppose if there are any snacks there, like some other supplier comes here, we'll be supplying a better quality product at a lesser price when compared to that of this supplier. Then all the things count to be counted here. This is what we call performance review post purchase, and a lot of critical decisions are taken again here in performance review. Say, for example, say a software company like Infosys purchasing a software licenses. They first recognize a need to purchase that software license from that vendor. Next, evaluate different providers. They may evaluate Microsoft, SAP, or whatever, etc., providers. And then they start negotiating the contracts. And then finally, purchase the licenses. Again, review if the software is working well with that. I mean, for their solution provider, it's fine. Otherwise, back to square one. So let's examine a case study. Industrial buying in B2B markets. We have already talked about it. When we talk about industrial buying, it's a transaction between two business houses. Supplier is another business, and you, being the principal party who buys, is another business. Okay, let's examine. Say Boeing and Tata Advanced Systems is a case that now we are going to discuss. Industrial buying in business to business markets. Let's look at the background of this company. Boeing, a global aerospace company, partners with Tata Advanced Systems for manufacturing aircraft components. This is the background. Who are joining together? Boeing and Tata Advanced Systems. It's a case of Boeing purchasing some advanced systems from Tata. Let's examine how the buying process breaks down. First of all, first is a problem recognition. How now Boeing, the aircraft company, seeks a reliable supplier for aerospace parts. Okay, so they search X, Y, Z, and they come to understanding with Tata Advanced Systems. Second is specification development. The Boeing aircraft company specifies material, precision levels, safety requirements, whatnot. This is called specification development. See, before you ask Tata Advanced Systems or some supplier, you must have to be at the second stage very clear. Specification development. Third is supplier search. Who will be there, supplying these aircraft components? They search for it. Evaluate multiple vendors based on expertise and capacity, regular supplies, reputation, everything. Supplier search, third step. Fourth step is, yes, if they come up with a clear idea that we can buy from XYZ, shortlisting, then start negotiation, contracting, agreeing on pricing, delivery timelines, quality control, other terms and conditions. And after negotiation is done, you finalize one. That's called selection and review. Now Tata is selected. Tata Advanced Systems is selected from Boeing, and Boeing conducts regular performance audits, and then they review and select it. Now the key learnings from this, please know, strategic partnerships in business to business are based on long-term trust, compliance, and innovation. This is very, very interesting. This is not so in the case of consumer buying. because whether to buy repeatedly or not, it's completely a consumer's domain, and there are a lot of changes that take place. And if not X, you can go for Y. See, you can't buy a X product always, X brand always. Today you buy X brand, tomorrow you buy Y brand and all that. There's no kind of a thing like it's called B2C or C2B, whatever it is, business house and the consumer. But here it's not B2B, because both the parties should grow together. That's the thing. So there must be a strategic partnership. So in industrial buying scenario, it's very, very important, and very complicated. All that's why we said it's a complex one, because when both must be dependent on long-term trust. Supplier should be trusted, and the company which wants to have supplies from supplier must also be trusted. So there's a long-term trust between the two parties, B2B, business to business, and they must comply, meaning supplier should comply with all the terms and conditions in the process of supplying regularly and all that, and the company which is getting the supplies must also adhere to the payment schedules and all that. It should not go for any sort of a problem with regard to compliance of the negotiation understandings. And then of course is innovation, meaning the Boeing may go in for innovation, and Tata Advanced Systems may go in for innovation, and there must be a matching scenarios. I make clear that these are all key things. Another case study we can say, like IBM and Infosys scenario in IT sector. Let's examine how the things go. Say, for example, IBM needed cloud integration services, and they want to outsource this, and they searched for and then outsourced part of its operations to Infosys, because everything they cannot do on that, because the business systems they're running. If you can't have the principal function to be handled by you, you can outsource it at an advantage. So that's what we call outsourcing. You know that. With everything you can't do on your own, that's a problem. So you say in this case, IBM wanted to outsource a part of its operations to Infosys. Okay, how the entire thing works out? Again, same thing, of course, but let me explain further. The buying process applied here. That means IBM is buying some service from Infosys. First of all, problem identification. You need to know why there is a need for outsourcing. See, you have to identify. That means IBM should identify that there's a need for enhanced cloud solutions. See, is it necessary? Then if you say that it is yes, then you search for some supplier to outsource that part of your operation. Fine. Second, evaluation of multiple IT vendors. Need not be Infosys. There may be other IT vendors who can supply the same. Am I clear what I'm saying? So that's it. So evaluate. Search for, evaluate. Then of course, third one is pilot testing and negotiation. So let the vendor come here, demonstrate, and go for pilot testing, and then you negotiate regarding the supplies, price, and all that. Then, of course, fourth one is selection and contract signing. If you are satisfied with, okay, that's what it means. IBM satisfied with Infosys, and then selection and contract signing, and ongoing performance and monitoring by both the parties. Very, very important. So the key learning from this is IT procurement decisions focus on, one is cost, second one is scalability of the operations, third is security, and fourth is vendor expertise. And both the parties should have this win-win game. Otherwise, it is very difficult. So now, what are the challenges in industrial buying? Just like consumer buying also, because consumer buying is a lot of information comes in. We are in a fix. Their X brand says something, Y brand says something. The advertisements are very, then pre-sale effort is very aggressive, and we are in a fix to buy whether what to know, what to buy, what not to buy. For example, in television, in case of television or refrigerator or air conditioner or whatever it is. A lot of problems with even consumer buying also will have. I mean, consumer buying decision making process also will have. But industrial buying will have still more challenges. One, complex decision making, because multiple stakeholders with different priorities. Problem will have purchase department, procurement department will have a priority of its own, and users, meaning the engineers who use these equipment at the manufacturing floors, they have their priorities, and top management, finance department, a lot of people, they have their own priorities in the process of handling this. So that's a complex decision making. Second one is a budget constraint. So of course, for consumer buying also there's a budget constraint, but you can move this way, that way. There's a leeway there in consumer buying. But in case of company, so the balancing cost and quality becomes a big thing, because what if you buy a quality supplies and then you are manufacturing a product, it becomes a costly thing, and you have to price that product at a higher price in the market. Suppose for any reason yours is not a competitive price, you lose the market for your final product. So that's again another important thing for raw materials and supplies. You can't be taking decisions and by buying quality supplies at very big cost, because that increases the cost of manufacturing of your product. That's the problem, because we said it's a derived demand. You use this equipment for making some other product which you are going to sell in the market. So that becomes a costly affair. So you need to answer budget constraints. Third, supply reliability. There is no need for me to talk more about it, because we already talked about this. The risk of delays or quality issues, because in case where supplier has some quality issues or time of delivery and all that, your entire manufacturing processes will derail, and your final product will become almost a bad product in the market. So all these things are said to be very important. So third challenge in industrial buying is supplier reliability. You have to verify clearly the things. Regular supplies must be ensured, and quality material should be supplied. So that's why you have to choose the suppliers very carefully. Fourth one, technological obsolescence. Yes. See, when you're, these, the technology, you see the fast-paced technology today, the manufacturing process undergo change. So if you can't search for a good supplier who can give you the up-to-date supplies, then yes, investments will be very risky, because there are rapid advancements that take place in the market. You can't be a back number. So if you want to use high technology oriented scenario manufacturing processes, you need to have the suppliers who will be supplying the raw material or whatever to up to that level of quality supplies. Yes or no matter. So fourth one is the technological obsolescence, outdatedness of your manufacturing processes, and suppliers outdatedness of not supplying a required quality raw material to you. Fifth one is regulatory compliance. We have already talked about it. There is what we call a lot of laws governments change, because there will be trade regulations change, business legislations change. Environmental laws is another important area. That's ESG, environment, sustainability, governance, regulations change. So all these you need to adhere to all these regulations. This is what we call regulatory compliance. So for example, you take an automobile industry like Tesla struggles with semiconductor shortages. What is a big important component in a car, electric car? Semiconductor shortages are there, and that actually impacted procurement and production. This is a big problem for Tesla. So look at what it means, because once we see challenges in industrial buying, you can't take the product from all Tom, Dick, and Harry suppliers as such without quality checks, without adhering to certain regulations, without taking cognizance of rapid advancements in technology, without taking cognizance of delays that happen. without taking cognizance of the budget, financial constraints. Yeah, this is very, very important. So, what are the strategies now for effective industrial buying? Of course, there are challenges, but then how you are going to handle this challenge and what is your strategy for effective industrial buying? One, vendor relationship management. See, what happens is there must be an enduring relationship between you, the company, and the suppliers. If you want to maintain a strong ties with the reliable suppliers, then only your manufacturing cycle is not going to be disturbed. Otherwise, definitely your manufacturing processes get disturbed because for want of supply. We have seen just now, no, in this example, like Tesla is struggling a lot with semiconductor quality semiconductor supplies. That's what it means. So vendor relationship management is the first strategy you have to adopt. Second is total cost ownership, meaning, see, look beyond initial cost. Consider maintenance and lifetime value. See, you can't have a cost structure which is said to be constant. So another important thing is you have to be considering the fact that there may be an increase in the cost of manufacturing when you get quality raw materials regularly. So that's another important challenge. Total cost of ownership as such approach. Then data-driven decision making. See, we need to take decisions based on information only today because we are in the information age. So, are you using analytics to assess supplier performance? Yes, no. If no, then you're gone. So, this is what we call data driven decision making. Collect as much as possible from the supplier's data, right? Analyze regarding the supplies, regarding their credit, regarding their quality supplies, regarding their credibility, whatever. Use all the data, analyze, and then make a clear guideline that yes, we can tick this supplier. So, data driven decision making is another important strategy. Fourth one is risk management is another strategy. Please note there are suppliers and suppliers. So diversify suppliers to avoid disruptions. Don't stick to one supplier in the name of uniformity, in the name of reliable supplying and whatever you call. Of course, that's again a matter to be considered. But at the same time, if you rely on only one supplier, in case where there is a disruption, what to do? When there is a case of disruption, then of course your manufacturing processes will derail. So if you want to take note of that, you need to diversify suppliers. Please be in your stock of suppliers in your book A, B, C, D, E. Don't restrict yourself to A and B. Take C, B, D, C, D also. In taking that decision of including C and D, it is risky. Again, you have to bear this risk in order to avoid disruptions. That's why diversify suppliers. Don't stick to one or two permanently. That's a strategy. Fifth one is sustainability, ethical sourcing. We have already talked about. Government rules change and ESG rules change and all that. So always you're supposed to choose eco-friendly and compliant, all the rule ESG compliant vendors. So that's what we call five important strategies we have of for effective industrial buying. One is vendor relationship management. Two, total cost ownership. Three, data driven decision making. Fourth is risk management ability. And five is sustainability and ethical sourcing. So, in short, what we can say to conclude this session, industrial buying is complex but structured minded because we know how from problem identification to final finish of the transaction. Again, and post purchase audit and all. See, this is a very structured approach of decision making minded. So, industrial buying is, though complex, it is highly structured And Seth model explains the multifaceted decision process. We have seen what are the steps involved in it. And it's a B2B buying note here. It's a B2B buying, business to business. That means supplier is another business and your company is another business house. So B2B buying involves multiple stakeholders and stages. It's a complex decision and a lot of people involved. And suppliers said there are people involved, and the company said there are people involved. Right? So we have already seen about real life cases like Boeing, Tata coordination, IBM, Infosys coordination. Here in the case, Boeing is the company, Tata is the supplier, IBM is the company, Infosys is the supplier of software. So these are all very important strategic partnerships as the cases we have discussed. So one more thing is adapting to challenges with effective procurement strategies is the key. So there are definitely challenges. That's why we need to understand technology driven scenarios must be properly examined, suppliers must be evaluated, not sticking to one or two suppliers. We have to take sufficient risk, budgets, and everything that will be counted upon. Okay, with this we close.